Welcome to Blood in the Snow Radio, where we give you the latest news and interviews with the best in Canadian genre cinema. Here are your hosts, Robert Bellamy and Festival Director Kelly Michael Stewart.
Bits Radio is back on the air. I'm one of your co-hosts, Rob Bellamy.
And I'm Kelly Michael Stewart.
And we are here for the film Echo.
Yes. When her partner returns from investigating a mysterious ocean site, Ava must choose where her loyalty truly lies.
This was a fun one to watch.
Thank you.
I'll get you to introduce yourself and your role.
So my name is Victoria Long, and I am the writer, director, editor of Echo, as well as one of the producers.
Perfect. A lot of hats.
A lot of hats. Classic little film.
Yeah.
That's the fun of independent film, though, is you get to do so much.
Yes, and keep your creative control a little bit.
Whether
more.
you want to or not.
Yeah,
you have to do
totally.
These. Yeah.
Well, I'm a little bit of a control freak, anyways, because I've done a lot of music videos and stuff, and so I really like editing, and I like being able to control the edit. And so for a project of this size, I was like, it would be slower to work with someone else. You know what I mean? If it was a feature or something, it'd be like great, having an assistant or something. But this one was, very personal, and I knew that it would just be faster.
Sometimes that works.
Yeah.
Obviously, in this case, yes. Now, with this particular story, where did this come from?
So, I've read a number of stories, I think, over the years that have different, from like Philip K. Dick to Battlestar Galactica or whatever, there's so many variations of like a doppelganger kind of, or someone coming back and returning. And so, there's definitely stories, that inspired it. But then what I really wanted to do was take that concept of like, what if someone kept coming back, and look at it from a very like personal perspective of like, because that's what interests me in filmmaking and in art, is like the human emotions and, our impulses and stuff, more so than, I guess, fancy guns and, big army people. It's like, what would one person who really loves someone who they have to keep dealing with them returning, and and obviously I wanted her to be kind of involved in it, like, so she's this pawn, in their I guess, what's it,
organization.
yeah, and in their like observation of this
Right.
thing, whatever it is, and so yeah, and I can talk a little bit more, I guess, about why that would be pertinent to me, which I didn't want to get into too much on stage, but yeah, so I really want to take a look at, like, if you really loved someone, and you actually had to deal with this sci-fi concept, like, what would that look like emotionally for you?
Yeah. Well, then we'll ask the question.
Yeah.
Why is this personal?
Well, so, might get a little heavy, but unfortunately this is just, my life. It is what it is. So growing up, my mom had cancer, and she had cancer, it returned 3 times. And she passed away when I was 10. And so I remember, when I was a kid, she had like, I think 3 different surgeries. It was like, started here, moved, and then you're like, oh, she's in the hospital, and then she gets better, and then she's in the hospital. And then when I was 16, my father had a traumatic brain injury where he was in a coma, and then he kind of had to learn how to walk again. He'd be in and out of the hospital and dealing with mental health things. And, and that kind of went on until his death, when I was 25 in 2018. So to me, it feels, the idea of like grief is very present in my life. And, like that connection is really important to me. But then also, I guess, trying to conceptualize the world, because I dealt with that so young. I'm like, what is this? I'm not religious to the dogma of any specific religion, but I believe there's something. We don't know, we're just little creatures in this world. And so just trying to figure out like what is real, what exists, and looking at science and looking at religion from all over, So to me, there's also this question in it of like, what if there was, like, maybe it is really him, and like, would you be able to accept that? Would you be able to be open to, like, how would you deal with it? Would you be able to cherish the time you have with them? Or would you just be so distraught that, you know, you can't really connect with them? And
Well, oddly enough, they do have those kind of scenarios in horror movies, which people always find baffling, where
Yeah.
a dead loved one comes back to
Exactly.
life, and they run over and hug them, and you're going, why would you do that?
Yeah.
But this
Exactly.
delves right into it.
Yeah. And so I feel like that I've dealt with a few things in my life that were quite cyclical, you know, like it just wasn't like, oh, there's one thing and that's over. It kept happening. And so I also really wanted to translate, I think like most filmmakers, the main character is kind of, you know, an avatar for emotions that I've dealt with in some way. Hopefully all the characters you can relate to in some way. But, and so, you know, like I really struggled with grieving them, with, you know, after my father passed away, I'm living in the house that he was living in, trying to deal with his things and stuff like that, you know, so a lot of that grieving is like what Ava is also dealing with in the film, but then also trying to figure out, like, maybe I can still connect with him, maybe there is parts of, like, is this really him, you know, because I feel like in the world I'm always trying to, you're like, well, maybe there's something, you know, are they always with you? You know, everyone believes something different, and so I won't get into all that now. But I will just say that, like, it's kind of that, like, dichotomy. And then I wanted to obviously amplify it a little bit by having her be in such a high pressure situation.
And it's cool because it's set in such a calming environment.
Yes.
You know, that was the thing that struck me when I was first watching it. It felt like, what was it, Civil War, a Marvel movie,
Yeah.
when they're back at the farm, just chilling.
Yeah.
And that sets the perfect tone for this.
Thank you. Yeah, I really wanted to. I'm like, the script originally, like, it opens with on green or whatever, you know, it's like green blurs through the frame. And so the whole time I think that forest kind of setting was really important to me, because I didn't want it to just be like, oh, it's a, you know, I love sci-fi of all kinds. But I will say, like, just from what I was trying to explore in this, I didn't want it to be, you know, just like a cold
You don't want Blade Runner.
sci-fi. Yeah, I didn't want Blade Runner. I didn't want THX 1138. You know, like, I wanted like, I wanted to just be like like the concept is what I wanted to explore, not so much the aesthetic of the sci-fi. And my style is generally kind of like subdued, I guess, not the most like flashy. Like, you know, I really want to try and serve the story, and so. Yeah, it always was supposed to take place like up north in this kind of like remote location too, because I felt like, I mean, it is obviously convenient story wise, and also I wanted it to have this kind of romantic, intimate feeling for them. You know, like they're in their space, and this is some place that, you know, it's not like, oh, they're just in some, I don't know, base, and he's meeting her
Military
for, yeah,
bunker.
exactly. And so, and that was really, it was right before we shot, actually, because we had some scheduling conflicts with Jordan, and, you know, like, I mean, because she's amazing. Shout out to Jordan and Brendan. But so she's obviously, people want to work with her, just like me. And so she wanted to do this, but she had shoots that kept getting like kind of, you know, shuffling around and reshoots for stuff. And it just worked out, the timing. Like, we were able to, okay, like, I'm going to be free on this date in whatever, 5 weeks or whatever, you can lock it. And because I soft locked stuff. But by the time we got there, the leaves were like changing. And I was so nervous. Like, you know, before we were shooting, I was like, oh my God, like, it's going to ruin the whole thing. It's going to totally, like, I'm not going to get what I wanted. You know what I mean? And I was like, I'm still shooting it, when you're like going into it and you're like spending all this money. And it was just like, I definitely had some breakdowns over the leaves. And then, you know, I think it's so beautiful about filmmaking and taking risks and stuff. But it ended up being so much more beautiful, I think, having like orange and yellow leaves and having that contrast with like the dead trees and the green trees, because that is what the film is about, kind of. It's like, oh, like the cycles of life, and like there's these dead trees, but then there's also live trees right beside them, and there's evergreens, you know, like these evergreens that are like, they just stay throughout the seasons. And it's like kind of thinking about, I mean, if like nature can have those variations, like what does that mean? So it ended up actually being kind of a blessing, and I think added a lot of warmth to the film. So, you know, I'm grateful that I went with it.
That was like a blessing in disguise.
Yeah,
that's-
exactly. Because I always, you know, to me it was like, oh, it's about like the green and like this lushness, but then the world, the universe itself forced me to add some more layers, almost like thematically in that. So it was a really beautiful experience. Like, and I mean also, yeah, weather was crazy for us, so we got a lot of really like wonderful, you know, like it was like raining on the beginning days and we're like, oh, okay. But then I was like, that'll work great for the story. It's just, oh, it has to be continuity now, right? And it's like, oh, when we went to shoot the scene where they were going and walking in the woods after, it like magically just was clear enough, you know? And so it was like, it matched the story scenes we were trying to shoot at the time. And then also, yeah, with the timing. Sorry, the jazz distracted me. I'm sorry. I was lost in
For
the jazz.
listeners here, we're next to a jazz bar.
It's
going on
it's
here.
very
Yeah,
nice.
good.
It is. You're right, though. It is distracting. I get lulled away every once in a while.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to shoot this?
We shot for 3 days. Well, 3.5 days. And again, I chose to make it so hard for myself. So being up north, like we had to also obviously have everyone stay up there and stuff. So we had a travel day, and then everyone stayed overnight.
yeah.
3 shoot days, another travel day, and then we had a half day for the helicopter stuff.
Oh, right.
That's
Yeah.
the next thing I was going to bring up. Because you're talking about adding layers.
Yeah.
All the helicopter stuff at that opening. Because I'm watching it going, that can't be like real helicopter
Right.
shots. And it's like, oh, it is.
Yeah. I remember, it's funny, I feel like I've played it for a few people, or, you know, where they're like, oh, you got a drone, and then they're like, wait. You know, like they're like, they don't really care when they see the drone shot, then they're like, oh, wait, is that actually a helicopter? It's like, yes, it is.
Was that a challenge?
Well, there's some good things to talk about there. So I, again, was just very set on that from the beginning. And I kind of was just, I just got in I was like, this is what the movie I'm making, so I need to do that. And the director of photography, Bryce Zimmerman, who is an amazing DP and, you know, a great human, and has been very supportive of this script. I mean, he was actually probably the reason that I ended up making it, because I showed him the script years ago, you know, when I was writing. He was like, this is so great, I'm excited to shoot it. And then, you know, life happens and stuff. But I'm like, I wasn't the most confident. He kept being like, when are we going to make it? When are we going to make it? So shout out for sure to Bryce. So I always envisioned in my scrappy music video brain, I was like, we can shoot, we can like get some helicopter shots without, you know, hiring like a helicopter to fly to set and, you know, have it be $10,000 or whatever. Like I was like, I know that there's a way I can do this in a scrappy way. And so basically my thought was looking at all these places in Ontario that like do like charters or little tours, or you can do lessons and that kind of thing, right? And reaching out to them. And Bryce had worked with, I think he'd shot in a helicopter before for something. And so he was also very confident in terms of like talking to them and stuff. He was like, so we kind of, I did some research on stuff, and he called all these places, and he was able to, talk to one of them, one of these companies, and just kind of be like, hey, we just need like an hour in the air. And I think what made it possible for us to do it also was that we had a very specific shot list, and I had very specific things that I wanted. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, it needs to come to the set. I was like, how can we cheat this? Like I spent so much time trying to figure out like, how can we make it that he's actually arriving there without having to like do a set shift on the thing to all the way down the road, and also like bring a helicopter to set, right? Like how can we make it seem like that in the story world without actually spending that much money? So we shot that stuff. I think it's Great Lakes area, and we found some place that could kind of match the foliage of the other location, you know, and so we shot all the helicopter stuff at one spot. And so we just, you know, had very specific shot list and trying to be like, what is it that we need to see to like tie this together, and like not getting distracted by other stuff. Because I just, you know, I really wanted those long lenses and stuff in the opening, like to have it be kind of, you're like in this helicopter, but you don't fully see this person and like what they're experiencing, and this kind of disorienting. And, you know, I just was like, you can't do that with the drone, or I don't know. Like I was like, I didn't, I could have maybe like shot him in a different way, but I thought just to get the style I wanted, I think I needed long lenses in a real helicopter, and so that's what we did.
You can do it. You should do it.
Yes, right. I mean,
exactly.
it's always just trying to push the boundaries, right? I mean, like most filmmakers, I probably you get these ideas and you're like, oh yeah, I came to do that, and then once you're like there, you're doing all these things, you're like, well, I could have just been like, it's 2 people in a room in Toronto, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, really, you had to do up north with a helicopter. Okay, great, Victoria. But like, I'm glad that I, didn't turn my back on the ambitious Victoria.
And I'm glad you didn't. That was quite a piece of film.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, congratulations.
Thank you so
on getting
much.
into the film festival.
Thank
and,
you.
I can't wait to see what more comes down.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'm
Thank
very
you.
excited about participating in this
And
festival.
thank you for sharing your story.
Amazing.
Yes, thank you so much for that.
Thank you. It's been fun.
Join us next time for Blood in the Snow Radio. Bits Radio is a production of Three Evil Cats Productions in association with the Blood in the Snow Canadian Film Festival. For more information and to listen to other episodes, visit bloodinthesnow.ca and tweet us at BitsFilmFest. Music by Jen Gorman, produced and edited by Kelly Michael Stewart. I am Eduardo Correa.